All right, hello, welcome to the Hold My Helmet Football Podcast, and I'm your host, Will Reichling.
And I'm your co-host, Dylan Boyle.
Now, Dylan, there's so many good teams in the AFC. So many. It's really stacked right now, but the Chiefs still sit at the top.
Yeah,
the Chiefs still sit at the top. If I'm being honest, I cannot rule them out until I see someone dethrone them for good. Now, Cincinnati beat them 2 years ago, made it to the Super Bowl. So what does Kansas City do? They get rid of Tyreek Hill, they get even younger, and then they just go back and get revenge on them and beat them the very next year and go to the Super Bowl.
They're definitely making a statement for sure.
Exactly. So to me, they're on the cusp of becoming a dynasty. Now, to me, a dynasty is a team that has to win 3 Super Bowls. Now, it can be defined in many different ways. But the Chiefs are almost there. I think they need to win one more Super Bowl, and then they'll become a dynasty. But, it can be interpreted in many different ways, Dylan. Some people might interpret dynasties not even based on Super Bowl victories or even Super Bowls. Would someone consider the Chiefs a dynasty for making it to 5 straight AFC championship games?
Very much possible,
You might think so, but maybe if they went 5-0, they went 3-2 in that stretch.
No, that's a good point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's all about context within those games. Mm-hmm. Now, I think they're close. I just would like to see them win one more. They've made 3. They've only won 2, though. So I know, I don't know where you stand on the Chiefs, but they were very impressive last year.
No, they definitely were very impressive. We all thought the Chiefs were going to take a step back after getting rid of Tyreek Hill, but they actually did the complete option, that was their really only receiver. So it kind of shocks me, why did they get rid of him? He was the number 1, and then it kind of does make sense because they have McKinnon, and no, he's not a receiver, but let me tell you this. Out of the 10 touchdowns that McKinnon scored, 9 of them were receiving touchdowns. And, at that point, you might as well make him a receiver.
Well, yeah, he's a receiving back. That's his role. Yeah, so, yeah.
Good point.
No, that's why he's there, though, for that, because they don't have a receiver.
So, the Chiefs had an amazing year, But how much longer can they do it with just Travis Kelce? Because Travis Kelce is basically their playmaker. He had 12 touchdowns last year. The next highest touchdowns for a receiver was 4 by McCole Hardman, and he's on the Jets now.
Yep,
so
he's on the Jets.
So who do they really have? But on the other hand, there was 11 different players that scored a touchdown on the Chiefs. So what does that really say? That that's the coaching staff.
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid is a really good coach, and I feel like that's a main reason why they're doing so good. You have no receivers, and you're still winning Super Bowls.
Yeah, no, that's the whole point. Andy Reid's a great head coach, and he makes magic out of, I wouldn't say nothing, but it's very suboptimal.
He definitely works with everything he has, and
yeah, he makes the most
really
out of everything.
that.
That's what the sign of a great head coach, making the most out of what you have around you. That's why Brian Dable was very impressive last season, but veering off. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we're going to go into the 3 teams that we think are, potentially able to dethrone the Chiefs in the AFC and meet them in the AFC Championship game and beat them. Now, the Chiefs are going to be in the AFC Championship game again. I mean, they made it 5 straight times. Well, it's not to say they'll make it a 6th time. So, odds are they will make it. So, who's going to beat them in that game? Number 1, I have, obviously, the Cincinnati Bengals. I think this might be the year that Joe Burrow finally wins MVP. I'm not even going to get into Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon. Not even going to get into their offense. Their defense is extremely underrated. They were tied for the 5th least points per game allowed last season, 20.1. They did lose Von Bell and Jesse Bates, both their starting safeties, but they drafted Jordan Battle in the 3rd round, so that's going to fill that void. They also added a corner, DJ Turner, in the 2nd round. I want you to watch out for that name because he might be very sneaky good this season, very sneaky good. So I think they're going to pick the defense is going to pick up right where they left off last season. They're very situationally excellent on defense, especially in the second half. They know how to turn it up when they need to, the defense.
That's what
especially
it's all
in the second half.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow has a 3-1 record against Mahomes and the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the best team in the AFC, so Joe Burrow shows that he can play his best against the best team. Zach Taylor is better than people think, okay? Every head coach needs a quarterback just as much as every quarterback needs a head coach. Mm-hmm. A head coach is the second most important piece on a team other than the quarterback, in my opinion. It goes quarterback, then it goes head coach.
That's how it is nowadays.
Exactly, and I think the Bengals have the right coach. Now, adding Orlando Brown, the line will help them vastly too because their line struggles at times. So having that extra tackle will be huge for them. So to me, the Bengals are the obvious favorite to dethrone the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think that last statement really, put an exclamation point on my point too. The Bengals are. They honestly, I really thought they should have won that AFC Championship game because if you just put the rosters next to each other, you would think it would just be an easy game for the Bengals.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You know? And even with his injury, too, easy, they got it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But that wasn't the case, You just got to look at their roster. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, 2 elite wide receivers. Joe Mixon, some weeks you won't hear his name, but then some weeks he'll be the game changer.
He has spurts of great games, you're right.
Yes. And not to mention Joe Burr.
Yeah,
my guy Joe Burr.
Joe Shiesty. Joe Shiesty.
And, he can honestly surpass Mahomes eventually. Like, he's not at that point yet, but he is really working his way up there.
Interesting.
I feel like they really share a lot of similarities. They're all about the team.
Yeah, they're very coachable, too.
Exactly, very coachable. But they're very about the team, I heard Joe Burrow is willing to take a pay cut with his upcoming contract. And that just goes to show what type of player he is. It's really unfortunate what's going on in the league right now.
Yeah, like
with Lamar Jackson,
taking $2 million more than Jalen Hurts.
Exactly.
I gotta be the highest paid player. I have to be.
It just blows my mind. You really have to be a team player and have to share the wealth with everyone in order for everyone to be healthy and everybody to step up.
Especially in a salary cap league. If this was baseball, and the most money is going to get the best players, but this is a salary cap league. It hurts the cap when you have a quarterback making $50 million a year. So
no, yeah, you got to be fair. If you want to win, you got to pay everyone.
Exactly. You have to pay everyone. And getting back to my point before, quarterback and head coach are so important. Like, that's why Mahomes and Reid are so great, because they do obviously you need other pieces on the team. There's 11 players on each side.
Yeah.
But those are the two most important pieces. And having a great head coach and a great quarterback, you're gonna scheme up plays.
That's gonna line everything else up.
If you look at some of the great defense, the Eagles had a great defense last year. They torched them because if you have a great offensive head coach and a great quarterback in 2023, you're going to come up with great schemes that are going to beat defenses. This is the way the league is nowadays. Over the middle.
It's kind of funny you say that because it literally used to be the opposite way. You used to have a good running back and a good defense, and you're winning a championship.
Exactly.
But nowadays, it's a lot different.
All the rule changes. Receivers don't really get hit over the middle anymore. Quarterbacks, you can't hit them low. You can't rough the passer. You can't hit them late. It's all geared towards, offense, quarterback, offensive head coaches. So we both have the Bengals as the most potential to dethrone the Chiefs.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, that's a fair take.
Yeah,
I think everybody thinks that, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. I think the Bengals are that team right now.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Now, number 2, the second team that I have that could potentially dethrone the Chiefs, and it might not be surprising, might be a year early. I don't care. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Ooh, now that's a good one.
Yeah, they're feisty. They were feisty last season. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to take another step forward this season, just like he did at the end of last season. He threw 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the last 9 games.
Wow.
He really showed progression under Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson's another one, a
great coach,
very smart offensive head coach. You have a smart offensive head coach and a smart young quarterback with talent, arm, can move.
That's what it's all about. You have a good coach and you got a good quarterback. Everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, and on top of that, they got back Calvin Ridley from suspension. So think about this right now. Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne. That's a legit offense.
I like Travis Etienne. Yeah, he's a really good running back when he's not hurt.
Christian Kirk showed it was worth every penny of that big contract, and people were...
And don't get me started with Evan Ingram's, because as soon as he got to the Jaguars, he just started going off. They didn't drop a ball. I don't want to hear about it.
It's funny because me and Dylan the other day, we were watching YouTube videos of literally Evan Ingram just dropping balls for turnovers.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking up, like, is there a record for the amount of interceptions caused by a receiver? And I really think Evan Ingram is up there because he has caused a lot of interceptions on the Giants.
It's funny to watch the video too. It's just like
it gave me so much anxiety.
There was like one or two where like wasn't his fault, but the most majority of them were just like blatant
just right to his hand and then right to another
pick
player.
6. Yeah, so I'm a little worried about the Jaguars secondary. They did improve a little bit at the end of last season. I do think they'll be a little bit better this season as long as the front 7 plays the football here. As long as the front 7 plays consistent to how they did last season and they create pressure on the quarterback, they'll be just fine. Yeah, the AFC South's easy. They're going to cruise right through that, and I think they have a chance to make it to the AFC Championship game this season.
That's a fair statement, and it's kind of funny because I'm going the other way with it, and I'm choosing the Chargers.
I thought you were going to say the Jets for a second. I was like, oh, he's choosing the Jets.
No, because, after that crazy playoff game where the Jaguars made the craziest comeback, I don't know how you let up a lead of 27 points in the playoffs. Whew, let me not get started on that, because that was a crazy game.
Yeah.
They should have easily won that game. All they needed to do was score one more touchdown.
Or make one more stop.
So it could have gone either way. But it's funny because they thought, they needed that one more touchdown. And that's why they got rid of their offensive coordinator and got this guy, what was his name?
Kellen Moore.
Moore, yeah. That was on the
Dallas.
Cowboys. Yeah. So I feel like, they're really going to be taking a step up now that they got a new head coach. A new coordinator.
Might be head coach one day, but we'll get...
No, we were talking about that before,
Yeah.
But, Chargers are overloaded with great players, They have Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Joe Bosa, Khalil Mack. I could just keep on going on. It's crazy how much talent they have. And then they just picked up this guy, Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, the receiver.
In the first round. So that they're really making a statement that they really have to do something this season. But that's what I'm saying. They got rid of their offensive coordinator. They're making some changes. And hopefully they're taking a step in the right direction,
Here's the thing, I wanted to put the Chargers on this, but I just don't trust their head coach. Now, I do like his aggressiveness. Sometimes it's backfired, the fourth downs, going for it.
It's crazy. Like,
sometimes
you think he's playing Madden out here.
Yeah, but the thing about going for it on the fourth down is if it works, you look like a genius. If it doesn't work, you look like
an idiot.
Yeah, so it really depends on how. Same with fake punch and stuff like that.
It becomes aggressive, stupid.
Yeah, exactly, right. But other than that, I mean, you gotta remember he's a defensive head coach, and the defense is always terrible. Were they a little better last season, towards the end of the last season? Yeah. But then again, they couldn't hold a 27-point lead. All they had to do was make one more stop.
One more stop, one more touchdown.
That's another thing. The offense was very bland last season, so bringing in Kellen Moore is going to be huge. Now, my take on all this, like I just said before, watch out. If the Chargers underperform this season, Brandon Staley... he's going to get canned. Kellen Moore is going to...
That would make sense.
Kellen Moore's going to get promoted to head coach.
Like I said, the Chargers should have been in the playoffs, in the AFC Championship. They haven't even made an appearance in the AFC Championship.
No,
that's crazy.
The Chargers have had a history of being very disappointing, and Justin Herbert's just the latest case. It was Phillip Rivers, Dan Fouts. It's just very disappointing for the Chargers.
I feel bad for the Chargers fans in general. I know they have a very, very bad offseason,
Yeah, so it's... like thinking about what happened last year. Yeah. Oh my God, if that happened to the Jets and they blew a 27-point lead in the playoffs.
Yeah, you would be down for weeks for that.
My whole mood would be affected. I think I would be beside myself. But that's besides the point. That's besides the point. Yeah. And so we both had the Bengals. I had the Jaguars. You had the Chargers. We were just talking about them and I forget. So now it's time for our third team. I had the Jets thing above me. You all know who I'm going to pick. The Miami Dolphins! So, look, Tua is 21-13 as a starter in his career. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are arguably the best duo in the league. It's close between Miami and the Jets. I think that they're going to fight for a playoff spot. Maybe they both make the playoffs. Maybe they don't. But
it's going to be a good fight.
It's crazy with Miami because they add Jalen Ramsey. And the most important piece, they added Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator. I'm hearing chirps around the league that's going to be big for them. Now, they had the fourth least rush yards per game last season, so they had a great run defense. But they allowed the fifth most pass yards per game last season. So now they added the corner, they added a viable defensive coordinator. They added a corner, viable defensive coordinator, and you already had Xavier Howard, the corner. He's really good, but he just needed protection on the other side. Now you bring in Jalen Ramsey and a smart DC.
They're doing all the right things.
The defense is going to be night and day this year. So, and if Tua stays upright, watch out, because Tua hits his receivers when he's healthy. I put him in my top 10 for a reason. I've been hating on Tua forever. I've pivoted just because when he plays, he puts up numbers. Okay, he puts up numbers. And I'm just going to mention this now. I hate the Jets are my honorable mention, and I hate to not put them in this, but. Like I said, very close to Miami. I had them splitting their games in the regular season. But I don't know what they're going to look like with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. Do I know the defense is great? Yes. But how much better is it than Miami's now? They had Jalen Ramsey.
He might need that year to get used to everything, honestly.
And usually that's how it goes. Usually it's not as great as Brady and Stafford. And it's not as bad as Russell Wilson. It's probably going to be somewhere in between.
You would hope not.
Yeah. As Russell Wilson, yeah. I ain't praying that doesn't happen.
That was a terrible season.
But how much better is the Jets defense than Miami? Now that Miami got Jalen Ramsey and they got a legit defensive coordinator, they are better, but the gap is smaller now.
Yes, absolutely. And then let's not mention that rumors going around that Dalvin Cook might be going to Miami.
And he might go. I also heard rumors he might go to the Jets. So it's all up in the air right now with Dalvin Cook. So I won't get into that. Wouldn't understand
that might be the game changer for each one of those teams.
The thing is, the Jets have Breece Hall, and they just drafted another stud running back. It doesn't really make sense for the Jets unless they get him cheap. The Dolphins, it makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. Now, Mostert and Jeff Wilson are very capable, but he would be the starter 100%.
No, yeah, for sure.
They could definitely use Dalvin Cook. The Jets, it doesn't really make sense unless they get him really cheap. Mm-hmm. But that's where I fall right now. So Bengals, Jaguars, Miami, Jets just missing that viability. But the Jets are still going to be very good.
For sure.
I still think the Jets are going to be very good.
So, instead of Miami, I actually have the Buffalo Bills as my number 3
that's
pick.
very realistic because they've been in it for how long now?
They should. That's the whole thing I'm about to get to right now. So the chemistry between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs is unmatched. They've been together for how long now? 5 years?
I think it's actually going into the fourth. Yeah,
fourth year. Okay. But either way, they have that chemistry built already. And yes, they got destroyed by the Bengals. Let's not put that behind us.
It was embarrassing.
It was. But I think that is really going to be their statement, They need to prove something after that terrible game. And I think that's what they're going to do, When you have a top 3 quarterback and we talked about a top 6 receiver.
Yeah.
You would think they would be able to carry them to the Super Bowl. And I think they should have won the Super Bowl by now. And it just blows my mind that they haven't, They got rid of Singletary, but they brought in this guy, Damian Harris.
Yeah, I liked him on New England.
I'm not too high on Singletary, He doesn't really have those breakaway runs.
Yeah, he's not explosive.
No, he's not at all. And not to mention, he never had a 1,000-yard season, and that's pretty crazy, And Damian Harris, he showed a lot of potential on the Patriots. I'm higher on Harris than I am Singletary, so I think they made a really good move on picking up Harris and
slight upgrade. Yeah,
definitely a slight
not
upgrade.
Like night and day, but very slight. It's an upgrade.
You're right. Yeah, but I think they're definitely going to be doing more stuff with Harris than they did with Singletary, and I think he's going to make more of it.
You have a good point. I did a whole segment on they run too much with Josh Allen. They're too Josh Allen reliant in the run game, and this stems back to Singletary and the underwhelming performance from the running backs.
Yeah, no, it's hard to have something going when you don't have a good running back. It's kind of predictable that you're just going to keep on running with Josh Allen.
No, right. I wouldn't say Singletary's a bad running back. I mean, he had 800 yards.
I feel like he's a good secondary.
He would be a great
number 2. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think if Stephon Diggs has his head on straight, everybody's at peace and there's no arguing and nothing like that. I feel like in the right atmosphere, they can definitely beat the Chiefs. In the right atmosphere, because Josh Allen is, like we said, a top 3 quarterback.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't he be able to?
No, you're right. And it, like I said, this all for me with Buffalo not being a mine, it all circles back to the importance, like I said, of quarterback and head coach. And I do think Sean McDermott's a good head coach, but I'm starting to have questions. It's an offensive league, and you got another defensive head coach.
We actually talked about it last season. He doesn't even know what's going on with his players. Talk about,
well, the
everything's fine. Everything's fine. 1 week saying, I'm worried about Stephon Diggs.
And then, 2 days later, or the day that, it might have been the day after, where he's
like, oh, no, everything's all fine, man.
I sent him home. Remember?
I sent him home.
Yeah.
And then people are saying he stormed off the field. What's actually going on there? So that's what I'm talking about. Everything's kind of in the air right now.
And the league kind of has pivoted to young offensive Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell type head coaches. He's a defensive coach, and he's a little more grinding, he reminds me a little bit of an old school head coach. And these guys are millionaires, and they don't want to be dogged by some
That's fair.
That's why they
definitely.
like these younger Mike McDaniel of Miami. That's probably why I have to flip him. Buffalo,
Him
Miami.
vaping on the field, getting down with the kids.
Was funny. That
was a funny moment.
I think he was trying to hide that. Anyway, but
he didn't hide it too well.
That actually is perfect why I have Miami over Buffalo. Like, is the quarterback better for Buffalo? Absolutely. I'm not going to argue
they
that.
have a great coach.
But their head coach,
He did a lot of things in the offseason to really benefit them.
And, it's just a great benefit to have an Andy Reid. I mean, he's not young, but he's a great creative offensive mind that's scheming up plays for your quarterback. And it makes a difference in the league nowadays. It really does.
It does, yeah.
So Bengals, Jaguars, and Dolphins, and then for him, Bengals, Chargers, and Bills.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, those are all... The AFC is so hard because there's so many good players. The other team I wanted to talk about is the Steelers, Their coaching staff is amazing. They have Mike Tomlin that's been on the team for 17 years.
Never losing season.
And not to mention, they never had a season with him as the coach that was under 500.
Yeah, never a losing season.
So he never had a losing season.
Yeah.
And then we have Kenny Pickett that's stepping up.
I like Kenny Pickett a lot.
They have Deion Johnson that's a beast. He had a crazy one-hand catches. I really like him. I'm high on him.
People do forget about the defense with T.J. Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick. They have a very feisty defense, too.
Yes, they do.
Tomlin's a defensive head coach, but he's just built such a great... If you're going to be defensive head coach, you better have a good offensive coordinator, which they actually don't. Their offensive coordinator leaves a lot of question marks, Matt Canada. But the second
that
thing...
might be the reason why they're not doing too well.
But the second thing, a great culture. If you're not going to have a good offensive coordinator and you're not an offensive coach, you need to have a great culture. And Sean McDermott for Buffalo was setting a great culture.
But I think it was going back to what we were saying in the beginning. It's the dynasty. They actually have a dynasty. They've won multiple Super Bowls. So I feel like they are definitely a dynasty.
If you're going to have a defensive head coach, you have to build some kind of culture. And that's why, for a while I thought Sean McDermott was a legitimate head coach because he built a nice culture in Buffalo. And I still think he's a good head coach. I don't think he should get fired. I think he's brought this team in the right direction. Same with, it goes the same with like Belichick. But then the game starts to pass you by. You start hiring defensive coordinators as offensive coordinators, and you think you know everything. And I just don't want to see that happen with some of these defensive head coaches. So next topic, and this is a little spicy. I don't know, might hit home really hard for some people. And that's gambling. Isaiah Rodgers and Rashad Berry of the Colts and free agent Demetrius Taylor are suspended indefinitely through at least the conclusion of the 2023 season for betting on NFL games in the 2022 season. Now, Isaiah Rodgers won a $1,000 prop bet on an over-under of Colts rushing yards.
$1,000. And how much do they make a year? Millions? Millions of dollars. And you're some of these guys are throwing their career away.
Yeah.
So what is it then? Is it winning the money or is it just winning in general?
I think it's the thrill of the win.
That's what it seems like.
And the Colts were bad with last year, so
Yeah, no, they're like, okay, so maybe I could win this way in the parlays.
Right.
It's so stupid.
Right.
If you spend day in and day night practicing, trying everything you can to be on a team, and you make it. And now you're just going to throw it away with gambling?
Right,
That's so stupid.
Now, I don't want to mispronounce his name, but Nicholas Pettit-Freer of the Tennessee Titans was also suspended for the team's first 6 regular season games of the 2023 season for betting on non-NFL sports at the club facility. Now, going back to another point, in April, the league suspended receivers Jamison Williams, Quintez Cephas, Stanley Berryhill, safety C.J. Moore, Commanders defensive end Shaka Toney, all for violating the gambling policy. All mixtures of betting on games in the league, a mixture of betting on other sports in the facility. So it kind of goes back.
And you threw some big names out there, and big names get paid big bucks. And like I was just saying, why? You're making millions and millions of dollars.
And Jamison Williams, he already missed majority of last season with injury. Now he's going to miss, I think, the first 5, 6. It's either 5 or 6. He's missing a good chunk of time of this season now because he decided to place a bet on another sport in the facility. Now, here's the thing. NFL players should not be betting on NFL games. You're destroying the integrity of the game, and it's kind of disrespectful in a way.
For sure.
But I don't understand why players are getting suspended for betting on other sports in the facility. I get it. Rules are rules, but it's kind of stupid to me. Come on.
It all starts somewhere, though. You got to realize. They start by just betting on other sports, and then they start betting on betting on other teams, and then they start betting on their teams, and then they start betting on themselves.
Yeah,
you know?
and like, okay, that's actually a great point. There's levels to it. You know, there's betting on other sports, betting on the NFL, betting on your own team, betting on yourself, and then betting on yourself to hit for the under, and versus shaving your stats.
And that's exactly why they should suspend all these players, because it all starts somewhere, you know?
Yeah, I just thought it was a little harsh, and it's a little unfortunate that exciting players like Jameson Williams, you know, weren't even better than the game.
That's what I'm saying, and that's going to make a big impact on the Lions. The Lions were taking a step up this year, and who knows, he might have just ruined it for his whole team.
We all get it. It's fun. It's addicting.
Dude, yeah, it's very addictive.
Yeah. So
don't get me started.
You just keep losing. Like, I lost majority of the season, and I hit lucky in the Super Bowl on a stupid box bet and won $500, won basically all my money back for the season.
I don't even want to get into how much money I wasted. Let's not talk.
You had a nice $1,000.
Yeah, but let's not talk about how much money I actually put into it.
So it's just like, you know, and like these players that are making millions, it's like, why are you gonna get sucked into the stupid like stuff that the spectators do? It's like,
it's so stupid.
It's, you guys are living for so much more than that. You can do whatever you want. You can probably get whatever girl you want, and you're gonna like sit there like us, like worried about like your bets, like your prop bets. It's like, I don't know, and like I don't want to be some guy like, okay, like I hate not putting myself in the shoes of these players. Like, yeah, they're human beings too. I don't want to be that guy that's just like, just play the game and don't ever say anything or do anything.
Everyone's human, of course. Yeah,
exactly. And if it's fun to them, it's fun to them. But like,
you gotta put things into perspective. You're on an
rules.
NFL team.
Yeah,
you're a role model. You are a role model, and it just sets a bad picture for your team, for the NFL, for everybody you're around.
And do you think one day like it's just gonna get out of hand? Like, I mean,
I think that's exactly why they're doing it this year. They're really cracking down on it. Who knows? There could have been other players doing this before, but now they're really cracking down on it.
They're trying to iron everything out, and it's like it's not perfect yet. And
then it goes back to the whole, is the NFL rigged? Because they might be rigging it for themselves, you know? It's very possible.
I'm not going to buy, you know, the NFL being rigged, because then why would Kansas City keep going to the Super Bowl? You would put LA, New York, you know? Like, the Eagles were the one last year.
That's a good point.
Exactly.
Kansas City is like nobody.
Yeah, Philadelphia is a bigger franchise. Oh, no. I mean, Kansas City's been around for a long time, but they're not like Green Bay as far as history.
No,
you know, like
good point.
You would have like, you know, the Giants winning Super Bowls, Dallas. You know, if it was rigged. No,
I'm not saying it's rigged, but I'm saying it gives it a bad look in general.
Exactly.
It gives the whole NFL franchise.
You're right, though. It makes it look like, you know, people are rigging games and stuff. But
and they easily could be. You know? And it's unfortunate.
It's a fine line. You're treading dangerous water right now. You really are. And I just don't understand why these people, these players should know they're going to get caught. Like, it's not 1955. It's 2023.
They track your phone.
Yeah,
they were easily be able to contact FanDuel and ask them, hey,
exactly,
where was this person at this time?
So we live in New York. Gambling wasn't legal till like recently. My friends would drive to Jersey, sit in the parking lot, and bet on their phone because they track your location. They know where you are. So like. These are for the people that are betting on non-football, non-NFL sports in the facility. I mean, rules are rules. I'm sure
I'm sure they know it.
I'm sure they knew the rules. Like, yeah, and like to think that you're above it and you're not going to get caught, it's kind of like immature. And it's like, thank God, like none of these quarterbacks have got caught doing it, because that's the leader of your team. You could tolerate this from your receivers and your cornerbacks, you know, being like, thank God there's no quarterbacks on here, because if you had like, I don't know, imagine Deshaun Watson got caught with this, his career would be over at this point with all the stuff that happened.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe that's a bad example. But imagine like someone like Justin Fields getting caught with this.
Yeah,
I feel like
it would just set a bad tone for the rest of his career.
Exactly. So, you know, that's it. I'm going to be in Mexico next week. Wish me luck. And
this guy, man,
so we'll
jealous.
We'll be a week off. We'll keep trying to post reels. We'll keep trying to stay updated with stuff. Just follow us on Instagram, TikTok, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can listen on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Yeah.
Thanks for
it was a good time, man. Good episode.
See you in 2 weeks.